Hey everyone, this is Norbert, and today I wanted to bring you my Elfnotes deck profile. Now, you asked for the list, but I wanted to wait until the YCSs are over in case there is a topping list. And there actually was in YCS Richmond, Jason Sierra topped with Fiendsmith Elfnote. I will link the video down below because it is a good profile, so definitely check that out. But since you also asked for my list, I just wanted to show it and I wanted to go in detail on card choices I made. So this is main deck, extra deck, side deck. So let's just start with the main deck. Of course, we will have 3 Lucina. This is the best name of the bunch because it's a searcher for the others and it doesn't lock you into anything. Speaking of locks, we also have 3 Tinia, which is also a starter for the deck, but it sets up the spell for you, which will lock you into synchros. So this might not get you into Fiendsmith, but it is still a very, very good starter. And then the last name we have Fortuna, which is part of the combo, so you can set up the trap, but it doesn't start plays on its own. Still a very good card just because it's a body you put on board that gives you something of value. So it practically can be 2 bodies if you have any card that you can discard, like a Charmy. So that's the big names, and then we run 2 Elfnote Power Patron. Now, I know Jason said in his profile that he only runs 1 because it's a brick, but I feel like a good ratio for this here is 2, 2, and 3, just so that you always have the target. So Theorealize always has Meteors to send, Meteors always has a Power Patron to add or summon. And I don't think Power Patron is that bad of a draw, because if you have any name that gets impermed, or if you have Fortuna plus the Power Patron, or if you have Fiendsmith plus the Elfnote Power Patron, you can just, Fiendsmith puts a body on board and the Power Patron just synchros with it, and then you get into your full Elfnote engine. So yes, alone it is not a starter, but it is basically your best extender into hand traps, because if they hand trap you, unless you normal summon Meteors, then it's a bit sad. But if they hand trap you, then you can just normal summon this and play on from there, and it just adds your card. And Meteors, you can put this to 3, but I didn't like that it's your normal summon. I like that most of the starters in this deck just special summon themselves, and you can have your normal summon to play into hand traps, or going second, you can add some side deck options, for example, for that. So I really like this ratio. Theorealize is such a good starter. The part where you have to shuffle a card back hurts a bit. You go -1, but if you have a body on the field that was impermed or you already used, you can shuffle that back, or you shuffle back a sequence that you used. So sometimes it's just a very, very strong starter. So that's it for that. And then we have 1 and 1 for the continuous spell and the trap. The trap is always a one-off, but for the spell, you can opt to increase the ratios of this if you want to have more consistency regarding your Elfnotes engine, but I felt that this was the weakest starter of them all, because if you have to start with this, you send a body, and then they ask you, you just went -1, and it's really, really tough. And into, like, going second, even worse. Like, you activate this, you send something, they MST it, you are really sad after that. So 1 of that. And then for the Fiendsmith engine, 3 Engraver. We play a big Fiendsmith engine. I know that post Blazing Dominion, I think the set is called, the next main set, most OCG lists cut this engine down to just the Engraver, because the tools that Elfnotes get are so strong. But right now we want to have a bigger Fiendsmith engine. Jason played multiple tracked, and I think that is a very good option here. I just wanted to have more Elfnote engine and then a lot of hand traps here. But this generally helps you push into boards. That's why I never cut down. Like, I experimented with some engines where I just had the Engraver and just had some other good cards in the deck. But the Engraver, the Fiendsmith engine, is just so nice at pushing into boards. Desiree threatens a lot with the Grave effect, or just the negate and everything. So I was very happy with this 3 Engraver. I used to have 2 Engraver and 1 more Welcome Home, but the Engraver just plays better into boards. And if you draw Engraver plus an Elfnote card, you can do the full board. So that's it for the engine. And then we have hand traps. This is a hand trap deck, and it runs 18 of them. So we have Ash and Fuva, which are the best hand traps in the game right now. We have 3 Veiler, which is back in business this format because sometimes Dracotail only has one line of play. If you Veiler that, it's really hard for them. Radiant Typhoon as well. They don't have that many pushes, so if you have Veiler plus Imperm, that can stop their turn entirely, and so on. Then we have Bell, which also very, very good against Dracotail, against the traps, of course, but nowadays also with the Fallen of White Dragon, you can Bell the effect to summon Ecclesia because it can also summon from grave. So if they start with Fallen, you can Bell the Fallen and they don't get the Ecclesia, and they won't be able to go into the Synchro, which is really good. And then 3 Imperm, same reasoning as Veiler, just more redundancy. And then for the last one, I was considering what to play here. I was thinking about playing Ghost Mourner because it's another copy of Veiler Imperm, but I think if you are on 15 hand traps and you have more space, I think Nib is a very good card because while Nib is not the best card this format, like you saw in the YCS, a lot of profiles did play it because people just don't respect it. And if you pair Nib, even if they do respect it, if you can pair Nib with one of these hand traps, which is a lot, then it's still a very, very powerful card. So that is the main deck, clean 40, so 22 engine cards, 18 hand traps. Very, very nice. If you draw hands with it, it just feels good. You just open like 2 different starters, 3 hand traps, and life is good. So that is the main. And for the extra, we run one of these Strelitzia. I never missed the second one. You can revive it with a trap. This can only revive level 6 or lower, but the trap can revive any Elfnote, so this can be brought back with a trap. Then we have our Fiendsmith enablers, we have our Medes, which is a level 5, and we have the fabled Levi Lazabol, which is our level 10, and it also has text on it. Don't forget that this has text, so if you have a lot of engine, you can also, for example, leave this in the grave with a Lacrima and an Agnum Day, and bring this back on your opponent's turn, or you just leave this on board anyway, because this is a quick effect, can tribute a number of fabled monsters that you have, and non-target take control of their monsters forever. So you can just tribute this, take one of their monsters, or if you have a Lurie next to it, you can tribute this and Lurie, take 2 monsters. Going second, this has 3050, and you can run over something, then take over something else. So very, very good card. And the last effect has another effect. If it's in the grave, you can shuffle it back and add a fabled monster from your grave to your hand. So that is not to be underestimated. If you have a Lurie in grave, you can shuffle this back. It basically recycles itself. You get a Lurie into your hand. You can do whatever that with that. Normal summon it for Fiendsmith or just send it for your Elfnote cards. Then we have Scythe Frame Lord Omega. This is just, we need an 8 in case we have the Meteos line. And we don't want to go into Armades for whatever reason. That comes up if you already have Fiendsmith access, then you don't want to make Armades. Or if your opponent hits you with a Fuvalos, then what you want to do is to trigger your Elfnote Power Patron is you increase the level, you go into Omega, then you banish it. And going into Omega draws them 1 card and Omega takes 1 card. So you trigger your Elfnote Power Patron without basically giving them a card. It's like ±0. And also, this adds up with Tinia, so if you start to rip 2 cards from their hands, and then you have like a Caesar on board, it's very hard to play into the board. Then we have our Dawn Dragster. I took this idea from Jason in his profile. This is actually pretty nice to make. Since we are no longer running this card, I was already skeptical on this card, and I played with it and never came up. But now that we don't have to set up this, we can just make a Dawn Dragster a lot of times. The Junora will come back once we get the new Power Patron card because they play well with it, but for now I don't think you need it because if you set up the whole board, it's already very hard to play into it. You don't need the Junora on top. And then Jason said if I play this I'm lost, but I still think this is a good card. It's a Liger out, so what you can do is against Liger Dancer is if they let you synchro, you put this in the middle monster zone, right, with the Welcome Home. And Welcome Home says this monster can't be destroyed, and if this attacks a high-level monster, it gains the attack. So you just put this here, and you run over the Liger, and that's pretty nice. Plus, if you are on the Tinia line, then you cannot make Caesar, and as you saw on the YCS, people started playing Nib again, so I don't want my Tinia line to get nibbed, so I just have the Crystal Wing. And sometimes you have just so much engine you have to convert it into anything, so this is fine. I don't make it every line, but it's good. Then we have Fiendsmith cards. So you definitely always run these 3. If you want to run a small Fiendsmith package, that's the minimum you have to run. But because we are pre-support, we are running a big engine. So we also play Sequence, we play Lacrima, we play Desiree, because if you have more engine, for example, if you open Engraver plus an Elfnote name, you can make Caesar Desiree plus the Elfnote stuff. Then we have Agnum Day, just to round out the engine, because this helps get lethal, plus it sets up the Lacrima, Agnum Day, Desiree in the grave, so that you have this card as an endboard piece. Then we have SP, just a utility card. It's not necessary. You can play Chaos Angel here, but I think for situations where you need spot removal, I think SP is the way to go, just because it's easy to make, it's flexible. And then the last slot is Link Spider. This is a call, of course. If people are not playing Nib, you don't need this, but this won me a couple of games already. So just wanted to let you know that it is here. Basically, if they Nib you, generally, even if they don't know how Elfnotes works, most people just put the Nib in the middle column. And then if you don't have Link Spider, you cannot send the token because it's a cost to send for this. So that's kind of annoying. That is it for the extra deck. Now, let's go for the side deck. There's a lot of things here I'm going to experiment with still. So I'm going to talk over what I think is good, and I'm going to talk over what I'm also considering. So this is definitely good. Purulia is just more charmies. You can actually main them. If you don't like Nib, for example, if it's just bad in your locals or whatever, you can play this, like 2 Purulia or something in the main, 1 in the side, and then the Nib slot is whatever, something else. Another track, for example, would be good. Then I have 3 Mourner. This is the last slot that I put in. I was considering Denko Sekka. Denko Sekka, we don't have to use our normal summon, and Denko Sekka against Radiant Typhoon is just so incredibly good. Definitely a consideration. But this is also, I figured this is also very good into Radiant Typhoon, because it's just another Veiler Impermafact, but it also has more coverage. So if you go second against the combo deck, you can side up on hand traps and just drown them in hand traps. Speaking of, we also have Droll for the combo decks, and we have the one called by, just because it's a good card, and Purulia can be really annoying. So post side, if they Purulia you, sometimes you have Fiendsmith combos, but sometimes you don't, and then you have to summon from hand, and that is annoying. Then we have 3 Lancia, because we never let Malice win a game, so never let Malice off the hook. You have to keep the Lancias. Now, you can put in here whatever, I just don't like Malice, so there's a Lancia in here. And for the last slot, I'm running Secret Village. This could be the Solemns. I'm still considering, like Jason played Solemns in his. And Solemns is kind of like Secret Village. It also works if you have Caesar, right? This basically says like against Dracotail or something, you just don't let them resolve their spells. I figured if you just get any Elfnote monster on the board with the village, is already hard for them to play. Now, of course, Dracotail plays spellcasters, and I wanted to test that theory, so I played this at locals. And the thing is, yes, they play spellcasters, but if they normal summon Lucius, generally your setup looks something like this. You have Caesar, you have the village, if you draw it. We don't play a combo to add it, I don't think that is real. And we have this and Lucina. This is already good, but this is like, after that, it's very hard to break it. So basically what you do is, if they normal summon against the Dracotail, for example, all their spells are not quick spells. So if they normal summon anything, like a Lucius, add 5 mana, you go Lucina, bounce the Lucius, so the spellcaster is no longer on the field. If they try to 5 mana, you can Caesar it. And if they have anything else like a droplet, you can Rhapsody of Madness if you have like another Synchro on the board. So very, very hard to play through this, even though they do play spellcasters. So I think it's a good card. But it definitely only is good if you get a spellcaster on the board. So maybe the Solemns are just better. So that is the deck profile. Now let me show you the Desiree combo that I was talking about. Okay, so here we have your Elfnote starter and an Engraver, and then we have 3 Fuvalos because you have to send something for cost, also to track hand size. So what you're gonna do is you wanna start with Engraver. If you are in a draw format, you can start with Lucina, but you kind of want general hand traps like Ash, Imperm, Veiler to hit your Fiendsmith engine so that your Elfnote engine can go through. So I like to start with Engraver, but keep in mind that if you get drawled here, you basically lose. So if you expect draw, then just start with the Lucina. So this combo is better if you have Tinia, because Tinia doesn't play into draw. If you would get drawled here, you can summon Tinia and just play. But here, let's just start playing generally better into normal hand traps. So we go tracked add Lurry, discard Lurry, special Lurry, and then we link it off for our Requiem, and then we use the Requiem to summon our Lacrima effect to send Engraver. Now, the Requiem checks for Ash, the Lacrima checks for an Imperm. Not everyone will Imperm this because you already have an Engraver engrave, but it's just good to know. So we have 3 summons, 1, 2, 3. So as our 4th summon, we go Lucina, use the effect, and we grab our Tinia. So just that now that we are starting to play and make a Caesar, if they nib us at any point before we make the Caesar, we still have Link Spider into Tinia and just play from there. So here we are going to link these two into sequence and use the sequence effect to shuffle back Requiem, Lurry, and Engraver specifically. You want to leave an Engraver engrave, and you want to leave Lacrima engrave. So you're going to shuffle these, and that is going to make a Desiree. Now you're going to immediately link these off to go into Agnum Day, and Agnum Day is going to go and revive your Desiree. Then you're going to take the Desiree, contact fuse it for a Necroquip, and then you're going to go and use the Engraver to shuffle back the sequence for cost. You make the Necroquip first in case for whatever reason they kept the bell and didn't bell your sequence. Instead they want to bell the Engraver. You just make the Necroquip, because if they bell here, you draw a card. Shouldn't happen, but it doesn't cost you anything, so you just do it. Nev to 6s, and this is the last spot where they can nib you. And we are going to overlay for a Caesar. So now what we have is we have the Caesar, and we have the Lacrima that in the opponent's turn can bring back Agnum Day to revive the Desiree. So some layering already, some protection, and we still have 4 cards in hand. One of them is Tinia, which we'll summon, and that'll grab you your Welcome Home. There you go, Welcome Home. Use a non-fire card from your hand, send it away to make the Elfnote Power Patron. Now you can do a Synchro Summon into your Strelitzia. You can put it in the extra monster zone if you want. That'll trigger the Elfnote Power Patron, and that grabs you Fortuna. Fortuna will summon itself, and that'll get you your Rhapsody of Madness. We haven't used the Strelitzia, so we can do that here. And it's up to you what you want to do. If you want, you can just go revive Tinia, and then use the Rhapsody of Madness to swap the Fortuna for a Lucina, in case these are 2 like real hand traps, right? Another line you could do is you go Strelitzia, bring back the Power Patron, and here you could make a Dawn Dragster, and then use 1 card from your hand. Put the Dawn Dragster here. Use 1 card from your hand to bring back Tinia, and now you have still, like, let's say this was a Fuvalos, another one, right? And this is your only hand trap that you had, or maybe this is another Engraver, I don't know. Any card that you can't use on your opponent's turn, and you can just make this. So now on your opponent's turn, you have the Caesar, you have the Dawn Dragster, you have the Rhapsody of Madness, you have a Revive for Strelitzia, so you can choose whether you want one of these. And you also have the Tinia that you would use to rip a card from the hand. And at any point that you want, you can go use the Lacrima on the grave, shuffle it back, summon Agnum Day. Agnum Day summons the Desiree. Now what's cool about Desiree here is that if you haven't used Rhapsody of Madness yet, right, you use Desiree to negate something, then you use Rhapsody of Madness, you can send the Desiree to revive a non-light Elfnote. Let's go to Cena. And since you sent Desiree, that'll trigger it. You can shuffle back the Agnum Day and then send another card on the field to the graveyard. So a lot of layering in this board. And this was a 2-card combo, but like you had to use some cards from your hand, or you don't and you end on a bit smaller of a board. But generally, this is kind of like the best board this deck can make. You could also make a Crystal Wing, but then you lose your Strelitzia, you have to bring it back with Rhapsodia. It's up to you, whatever you need in that matchup, but just wanted to show you what happens if you draw both engine pieces. Anyway, that's it for the deck profile and the small extra combo. Hope everyone bought your Lucinas, because this went up in price, but maybe it'll just drop off in the next couple of weeks. The set is still new. But that's it for the video, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.